all the way from England to talk to us, to present to us. I'm not going to spend too much time introducing Dave because we're going to play a video that I think does a beautiful job in really showing his life story, which has been very compelling and unique. I met Dave a couple of years ago at a conference in California, and I was immediately awestruck by his style, by his dedication to research and to actually what all of us do, and his unique way of presenting that, his unique way of reminding us all why we're all here using poetry. So, and since then, Dave and I have met a couple of times last year. I was in Boston one more time, and we spent some time together there talking. So really have become friends with Dave. So I'm thankful for him to come in all the way here. It was not easy for us to bring him here, but nevertheless, he's here. We're really excited about that. So that, if we can, please play the video in the background. Thank you.
I never realized my eyes were slowly going blind. The symptoms were so slight as my sight gradually declined. It started with my blindness, then a tunnel closing in. My fate was just 8 years ago. This journey would begin. The doctor looked into my eyes and said, "You've got RP." She told me that there is no cure and it's hereditary. My newborn son and daughter had a chance of 1 in 2, but there was not a single thing me or my wife could do. I slipped into depression as my sight grew less and less. I lost my job, we lost our home. It added to the stress. But just when I thought hope was gone, I found a way for me to talk about my hopes and fears through this blind poetry. A beauty in the blindness penned in verse that I could share with others just like me, to see there's someone always there who understands the plans we make and how it may unfold in each day precious moments to memorize and hold. It started with a Facebook post to my community, a place to face the challenges of disability. For every poem posted, reach more people using sight, for them to share with those who care the way we live this fight. Erase the misconceptions, talk of blindness, many shades, how just because we don't look blind, can't see the way it fades. To take our greatest challenges and show if we believe that blindness won't define us, there's so much we can achieve. So here I stand before you, the blind poet, proud and strong. And though my vision's at its end, I found where I belong. So it's tearing in published books, a huge step up to show that going blind can't erase the beauty in this blind poet's mind.
I give you Dave Steele, the blind poet, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning, we all good? Yeah. Very responsive. So, as Bill said, my name is Dave Steele. I have become to be known as the blind poet. And today, this morning, I want to share with you a little bit about my story, how I came to be here today on what is actually a very, very special day. Today, 10 years ago, was the day I was officially diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa. I knew that we had RP within the family. My sister, one of my older sisters, was the first one to be officially diagnosed with it at Moorfields in the early 80s. Back then, they didn't really know a lot about the condition. I remember we all had to go to our local eye hospital in Manchester. I remember being about 7 years old, having to have drops put in my eyes, which I now know are dilated drops. I just remember back then it made my eyes go a little blurry and it was kind of scary. But after that, I didn't really hear much talk about RP. I was told that if it was going to affect me, it wouldn't affect me until I was much, much older. But 10 years ago today, I walked into a regular routine eye appointment at my local optician's, and I used to get my eyes checked every year or so just to make sure I was good for driving and things like that. The optician looked into the back of my eyes and there was this pause. And I just went, there's been a bit of a change since the last time we saw you. There's quite a lot of pigmentation on your retina. We need to run some further tests. So they asked me to do a visual field test. I had to sit in front of this machine. I remember having to put my eye, each eye on this machine and hold in a button. And every time a line went off in my peripheral, I had to click the button. And as the test started, I realised that I wasn't clicking the button. And the longer the test went on, there was this sudden realisation that, oh my God, this thing's happening. Austin, who was the young boy, the youngest of the family that you saw there, was in his car seat. He was a little baby at the time. I just proposed to my wife. We were saving to get married on New Year's Eve that year in 2014. Had a young family. My son, my stepson Louis, who's here with me today, was there. And I remember having to walk out the appointment in floods of tears, telling my wife what had happened. And I was officially diagnosed as severely sight impaired. I lost my job. I was working in car sales at the time. I was also working as a singer. Everything I did involved me driving around and getting around independently. And that day started a real tough time for us as a family. 8 or 9 months was really, really struggling. We applied for support through the government, but there was a 9-month waiting list to receive financial support, something called personal independence payment back in the UK. I lost my job because I could no longer drive. I fell into depression and struggled with anxiety, not just because of the sight that I was losing, but also the financial pressure it was putting on my family. We couldn't afford the rent in the house that we were staying in. We had to feed our kids on food parcels and food packages and food banks for a while, and I felt really guilty of the financial pressure that was putting on us. Now, I know the room that I'm in today, I don't have to explain RP to most of you. I'm sure most of you know what retinitis pigmentosa is. If we want to get technical, the type that I have is what we call autosomal dominant RP1, which I'm sure a lot of you know what that is. So when I started to go through the kind of process, once I was officially diagnosed, we found out that my children had a 1 in 2 chance of losing the sight when they were older. So all this was making me feel guilty and anxious even more, and that was adding to the stress of my visual loss. But things change as they always do. And the way it changed for me was, about 8 or 9 months after I was diagnosed, I got invited to a support group for people with RP and Usher syndrome. And when the organisers of the support group heard that I was coming along and that I'd worked as a singer, they said to me, "Oh, would you mind singing some songs that day and coming along and be the entertainment for the support group?" And immediately I said yes, because I was actually really anxious about going to this support group. This was going to be my first time being around other visually impaired people with canes, people with guide dogs. This was a scary glimpse into my future. So when they said to me, "Would you come and sing some songs?" immediately I said yes, because that's always been my comfort zone. Being on stage, speaking to audiences, doing this, I was always really, really at ease, and that took away that anxiety. So the night before going to this support group, I had this eureka moment. I thought, you know what would be really cool? If I could take a song that everyone knows, but change the words, and talk about my experiences so far with low vision and blindness. That'd be quite a cool thing to do. So I took the song Stand By Me by Benny King. I'm sure we all know it, yeah? Because I love the opening line of "When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see." Well, that was like night blindness to me. So I rewrote the song in bed. It took me about 15, 20 minutes, the words just seemed to come to me. And 20 minutes later, I had this song called Stand By Me RP. And when I performed it the following day, people were coming up to me in tears afterwards, saying that the words that I spoke about or sang was describing how they'd always felt about their experiences with low vision and blindness, and it was helping them. So that triggered something in me, because I started to write poetry, because to me, poetry and music is the same thing, it's song lyrics. We all turn to songs at particular tough times and dark times in our lives. Whether we've lost someone, we have songs that help us get through. Poetry can be that same thing. So I started to write poetry every single day, sharing everything that me and my family were going through, the good days, the bad days, sharing it all. And every time I posted a poem on social media, like the video just said, I would get messages from people all over the world saying that not only were my words helping them, but they were using my words as as a way for them to describe how they were feeling to their friends and family and their loved ones. So, fast forward now 10 years today, which is incredible to be here with you guys sharing this 10 years ago today. I'm now known as the blind poet within the blind community. People use my poetry all over the world as a way for them to share how they're feeling, explain how they're feeling, but also break down lots of the barriers and misconceptions about low vision and blindness. Still to this day, most people think you're either completely blind or not at all. And they forget that blindness is a spectrum. Quite often I'm shouting out in the street if I make eye contact with someone, being accused of faking my blindness, but there's a lack of education there, a lack of awareness. So poetry helps break down all those things. And actually today, stood here in front of you 10 years later, I'm so much more happier than I was before I started to lose my sight. I use this little tunnel of sight that I have remaining to see what's important in the world. And I want to share with you a piece of poetry now that really talks about that. This one's called The Stranger, and it goes like this. Today a stranger asked me, what's blindness done to me? Has it limited the plans I've made or the things I hoped would be? Has it forced me now to settle on a life that's second best? Has it made me give up lots of things since I failed the blindness test? Do I still have aspirations, special places, dreams to go? Is there any point in beauty if the eyes don't work to show? But my answer came so quickly, not a thought considered twice. I am happy for this blindness, for the way it's changed my life. It's taught me what's important and shown me who my real friends are. And I wouldn't change a thing that I've learned just to get back in my car. I have met amazing people since this RP took my sight. We share in common struggles, joined together through this plight. Though my retinas are dying, my mind's vision has increased. For each day I'm making memories, for long after sight has ceased. So never offer pity for the broken sense I've lost. For I feel I have gained more than the price that blindness cost.